Hello everyone, this is Shivam Agarwal. We are back with another video. This is an example video. Now that you have learned much about classes, objects, functions and variables, now we'll try to create a class that can be used in a daily life scenario. Okay, we'll try to create class, try to create functions and use objects to access those properties. Okay, so let me just erase everything from here, or I'll just make them commented. Okay, everything is commented here. We'll try to run some example over here. Let's try to do this. We're creating a class for a bank. Okay, we are creating a class for a bank where user can access their bank balance and we have to store their name. So it is a very simple class. What we have to do, we have to define the class itself first of all using the class keyword, and we have to give the name of the class. So let us say we say account. The class name will be account for me. What we have to define here, the properties. So first we have to define the property of account type. So I'll say account type as basic. It's a basic account. Okay. Another property that I want to create is the name of the customer. Okay. So I'll supply the default name as XYZ. I don't want to leave it as it is, so I'll supply some name. And I also want to make the user access their bank balance. So I will say balance, and by default the balance will be 0. Okay, so I've defined some properties here: account type, name and balance, specific to the account class. Now I'll try to create some variables, not variables but the functions. Okay, first I'll start with the constructor. So you have already learned about init. This init is only the constructor. We'll talk about constructors in the coming videos also. So let's start with init function. I'll just use this. It will assign the values from the user. So I'll say that account type will be by default basic. So it will take name and balance from the user. Okay, so that is how we create init function. What we'll do is self.name becomes name and self.balance becomes balance, right? So we have instantiated the class using init function, right? Next, what we want to do, we want to define another function, this time to deposit the money. Okay, so I'll say deposit. In this class, I want to just make the user access their bank balance, and for accessing their bank balance they might want to deposit it, they might want to withdraw, or they might want to check the bank balance. Okay, so this function first is depositing the value. This is a function of a class, so it expects self value here, and I'll say another value for the amount that he wants to deposit. Okay, so I'm saying that will be a value. Now how will we increment the balance? We'll have to access this balance. How will we access the property of a class? Using self function. Okay, so we'll do self dot balance, and we have to add to it, so we'll use plus equal to. This plus equal to means self dot balance equals self dot balance plus. Okay, so this is an operator that you have already learned in Python. And value. So what this line does is it increments the value to balance. We expect this value to be a positive value because this function is deposit, and it will add this value to the balance that is already present in the class. Okay, so that is it. We don't want to display after he has deposited. We want to create another function that is withdraw, right? You might want to withdraw some balance. It expects a self parameter and a value that it wants to withdraw from the account. So we'll say self dot balance. This time we have to subtract the value, so we'll use minus equal to value, right? So what this line does is it takes the balance, subtracts the value from the balance, and updates the balance with the new one. Okay, so we have created two functions here, deposit and withdraw. We want to create another function just to display all the values that we want. Okay, so I'll create display function here with nothing else, because we have already defined everything inside the class. What I'll say is print. I want to print the name and the balance. Okay, so I'll say self dot name and then self dot balance. Right. So inside the print statement only. Right. Okay. So what will this function do? It will just print both the values that I want. Okay. So I think I have created the whole class as I wanted to. Let's move out of the class and create object for this class. How do we create an object? We use the object name. For example, I will say user1. This is the object name of my for my class. And what we'll do is we'll write account, that is the class name here, and we'll supply some values for this init function that we have described the constructor on our own. We have to supply name and balance. Okay, so I'll say the name will be Raghav and balance will be just a 0. He has just opened the account, so balance is 0. Okay, now next thing is we have already used this function. What we want to do is we want to deposit some amount. This user1 wants to deposit some amount in his own account. Okay, so how do we do this? We'll call the function with a value. Okay, so how do we call the function? User1, that is the object name, dot deposit, because we want to deposit some amount and we want to give some value how much he has to deposit. Let's say 1000, right? So he has to deposit 1000 rupees. Let's check the balance after this. So I'll just call user1.display, right? Now he wants to withdraw some amount, and finally we'll write withdraw. I missed the one here, and we have to give some value. What amount does he want to withdraw? Let's say he wants to withdraw 600 rupees for some books, right? And we want to display once again everything, right? So what we are trying to do is, let's see once again. We have created a class account with three properties: account type, name, and balance. We have created a constructor function here that initiates the value. We have created a function deposit to increase the balance by a value. We have a withdraw function to decrease the value, decrease the balance by a value, and we have this display function to display everything, right? For object, what we are doing is initial balance will be 0, name will be Raghav. What we are trying is deposit 1000 rupees and withdraw 600 rupees. And let's see what happens here, right? Executing it. So it shows me Raghav and the new bank balance is 1000 rupees. After removal, we can say Raghav and the remaining balance is 400. Why? Because we withdraw 600 rupees from 1000, right? So this is how I've created a very basic account class. You can increase the functionality by and increase the user interaction by giving some print statements over here, so that you can say what you have already done. Okay, so if you want to say that, yeah, I have deposited some value, you can say print, and you want to say deposited amount. Okay, similarly, if you have withdraw, you might want to say withdraw amount, right? And display here. So if we try to run it, deposited amount Raghav 1000, and then we have withdrawn amount Raghav 400. So this is how you can create a banking application also using the methods of class, function, and objects. Okay, I hope you have learned much from this. Thank you very much.